What up, y'all? This Sean from the Cashless Thoughts. Jazz is not gonna be with me on this video. What we actually doing is, since this is Black History Month, shout out to y'all, but happy Black History Month. But what we doing was we was searching for people um, that we wanted to that was interesting and we wanted to do along beside the people that we normally, you know what I'm saying, know about in Black, we talk about in Black History Month, which is like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., you know, the known ones that we know here today in our regular society. What we wanted to do was like research more people, because I know it's more people than just them. Not saying that they're not important, but we know so much about them that we tend to stick to just them and speak about them when Black History Month come along. Not saying that we shouldn't do it outside of Black History Month, but we want to go a little further and pick some unknown people to talk about in Black History Month. So what originally our plan was, we both do two, then she do two, I do two, and we was going to display it each Sunday. But we had a little incident within our culture that we wanted to talk about on the first Sunday, which was the death of Mr. Nichols um, in Memphis. So what we're gonna do now, we had to switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna do one, she gonna do one, then we're gonna do one together. And we pick somebody that really not known, they really not talked about during Black History Month, but they are, you know what I'm saying, very important to us with the lineage and what we got going on. And hopefully y'all have some insight, and hopefully y'all do your own research. I want y'all to do your own research on, you know what I'm saying, just y'all ain't got to do them on the people that we did, but just do more research about more Black people, you know what I'm saying, that influenced us and how we, you know what I'm saying, act, and just more people that we can look up to, you know what I'm saying, better mentors than what we have today, you know what I'm saying. So I apologize first off, because I wrote mine down. I like doing history, so I wrote a whole report. So I'm gonna be looking down most of the time because I wrote everything out, because it was a lot of information that was good, that I liked it. I'm gonna tell you, it was a lot of information that I liked it, and I wanted to, you know what I'm saying, inform y'all. And I know how people is when you put something out there, they want to jump down your throat if you ain't correct about it. So a lot of this stuff that I research, I actually got off YouTube, Google, and some books. You know what I'm saying? So I refer to the books after I get done, you know what I'm saying, reading my report off. So if I'm looking down, I want to apologize right now, because I did write a lot down, because it was a lot of information. It was a lot of good information that I feel like we should share with each other. So I'm going to start now, just jumping into it. Ghana was the first known political power in West Africa. Ghana ruled from the 6th century to the 13th century AD until it was defeated by Sundiata Keita, who became the Sultan of the Mali Empire. Sultan Keita expanded the Mali Empire to include the old Ghana Empire and other smaller kingdoms. He built his new capital named Naya near the Sakari River, a large mountain and forest. The king of Mali will be referred to as Mansa. So Mansa is not his name, but that is his title. So Mansa means king, sultan, however you want to put it, in the local language spoke by the Mandinka tribe, which Sandia Gita is a part of. Mansa Kita centralized his government, starting with the important tribe leaders, wealthy Arabic merchants. He allowed the conquered lands to continue to rule over their respectable kingdoms, but appointed Mali governors to keep from them trying to overthrow the Mali Empire. He also kept a royal hostage at the palace so the conquered kings remained loyal. He also named the empire Mali, which means where the kings where the king lives. Mali was supreme monarch Mansa was supreme monarch and completely monopolized certain trades and goods. For example, the Mansa was the only person who could own gold nuggets. All the rest of the people could own gold dust. He implemented numerous important ministers who helped the kingdom administration, a legal advice team, and all future Mansas would be chosen from the Kita tribe or clan. So the next most important person is Mansa Abu Bakr. the second. He was the next important sultan or Mansa. He was obsessively intrigued with the Atlantic Ocean. Mansa Barker II set sail with a huge fleet of 2,000 ships and thousands of men and women to accompany him. Mansa Barker never returned. So, which y'all might want to do some research on that. I ain't really put too much about those two, which you can find a lot of stuff about those two gentlemen um, in books. Also Google, YouTube, but my particular paper wasn't about them, so I just touched on them a little bit, so y'all can go back and if you want to do your own research, do your own research. So I hope you do, because it was a lot of interesting stuff. But he never returned. So Mansa Barker, not the second, nominated Kankan Musa the first as his deputy to look after the kingdom while he was gone. So Kankan Musa the first became Mansa after Mansa Barker the second, after he never returned to the Mali Empire. So the Mali Empire was the strongest and the mightiest kingdom in 1312, and over 2,000 miles of land, also in military. So they were in power in military, art, culture, architecture, and education. That was like their main thing, aside from the trades that they did. Mansa Kankan was a Muslim. He was a devoted Muslim. His plan was to strengthen the army, conquer more land, and increase power and wealth. In the Mali economic was based on mining gold and salt. So they two main things that they mined was gold and salt. That's why they made most of their money off of. And back then, salt was very well. You really couldn't find salt except for in Africa, and as you know, gold was in Africa as well. But salt was very rare, and it was a high commodity back then. So they were in much. So they had a lot of salt where they was at. So that's what they mined: gold and salt, and traded of copper, ivory, cotton, cloths, and that's it. And much more. But that was all. That was like the main stuff that they traded. Most of the traders were from Muslim nations, so they would come from the next continent over, like Morocco, Persia, Arabic. So they were more so Arabic. So what it was is, if you were Muslim, you got better deals, a better trade, better prices. If you were captured in slavery, because it was slavery back then, they did have slaves in Mali. Well, actually, everybody had slaves. But if you were caught back then, if you were like, I know in Europe, if you were Christian as a slave, they wouldn't, keep you as a slave. Christians wouldn't enslave other Christians. It was just it wasn't like that, and that was as well for the Muslims. Muslims wouldn't enslave other Muslims. So if you was a Muslim, you wasn't able to enslave another Muslim. But if you were slaves, I just want to say back then it wasn't as harsh as the slavery was like a few years ago. Back then, you were able to participate in society. That means you got married, you got paid for being a slave. You know what I'm saying? You were able to buy your freedom. And some slaves, rose up in power and start conquering other territories and lands, and became military officials back then. So it wasn't like it was when we first came to America or whatever, how harsh those slaveries was. Not saying slavery was not harsh, but you were able to, pay your way, be free, move, have a little more room than it was here. So he was a devoted Muslim, and he really like everything he did was structured around being Muslim. So he took the Hajj, which was a pilgrimage to Mecca, which is in the five pillars of being a Muslim. So he gave to the less fortunate. Um, he prayed, and he, wanted his people to pray. So he converted his whole kingdom into Muslim, but he didn't force people to be Muslim. So if you wanted to stay the traditional African religion, you were more than welcome to do that. But he converted his kingdom into Muslim because it gave them a better prestige. Like all the upper echelons people back then were Muslim. You know what I'm saying? All the people in power, all the people with money, all the wealthy people were Muslim. So he converted his whole kingdom into Muslim. I feel like on a society standard, you know what I'm saying? Not saying he wasn't devoted just because it was his religion, but it made them, it made people, you know what I'm saying, look at them at a higher level when they said that they were Muslim. So what Mansa Musa is really known for is his pilgrimage, his Hajj to Mecca. That's what it is called. It's either pilgrimage or Hajj, but his pilgrimage to Mecca. So he made financial possible at least once during one's lifetime. So Mecca being the religious capital of the Islamic or of the Muslim culture. So even now it's still embedded into the pilgrimage. I mean, embedded into the pillars of being a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? If you are affordable, if you can afford it, you want to take at least once in your lifetime, take that Hajj or take the pilgrimage to Mecca. Um, and the site, what is in Mecca is the site of Mount of Mercy, the place of the Kaaba. The Kaaba is like a small triangle building that housed the sacred black stone um, that the angel Gabriel gave to Abraham, which is a sign of Allah, which is what they call their God. Allah is the same as God. If you don't know, you might know, but if you don't know, that's what it is. That's what they call their God. Converted with Abraham, the covenant that God or Allah had with Abraham. So it, and then Mansa Kankan began his pilgrimage over 9,000 miles. 9,000 miles. Okay. No car, no planes, no scooter, none of that. They had horses and camels back then. 9,000 miles with 60,000 people. 60,000. And most of them, some of them were slaves. Then 500 of those was his wife personal servants. I don't know who one person need 500 personal servants, but he had 500 personal. She had 500 personal servants. He had his military with him. He had some of the governors with him as well. And the slaves carried gold. Like he took like billions of dollars of gold with him on this pilgrimage, on this Hajj. And five governors. So and then also the camels carried gold as well as supplies, food that they fed the whole caravan with. 60,000. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And some of them walked. And I just want you to know, if you ever looked it up, you can Google it or whatever. Mali and West Africa is on one side of the Sahara Desert. That's 30% of Africa. It's hot as hell. Okay? It's hot. They walked 9,000 miles across this hot ass desert. They walked. Like it wasn't no plane. We weren't getting picked up. It wasn't an Uber. It's hot as hell. Like they the mildest temperature is 120 Fahrenheit. I don't know. I don't even know how they made it. Listen, at 120 Fahrenheit, that being that hot, let me tell you, I probably would be walking naked. I don't know. But they walked across the Sahara Desert. And what he did in each city that he stopped in, that he was there every Friday, he built a mosque. That's how dedicated he was. That's how devoted he was to his religion. Every Friday he built a mosque in any city that he was in. Then he gave away millions of dollars of gold in every city. Every city he stopped, he gave gold away. when he finally got to Cairo, the um, the capital of Egypt, he they said it took a day just for them to see, just for his whole caravan, his whole people, everybody that came with him, the 60,000 people. It took a whole day for them to come into the city of Cairo. And he even built hodges there. He built houses for his people to live in while they were there in Cairo. Um, he also they like he spent so much gold in these cities and in these places that he caused a depression for a decade. Like the price of gold went down for a whole decade. One man caused a depression in each city that he was in: Cairo, Medina, Mecca, because he was giving away so much gold. And this man was so rich, his slave was draped, the horses, his slaves, the military, like they had the top standard horses. They was draped in gold and Persian silk. Those slaves dripped in. You got 60,000 people with you, and you feed these people every day. Your slaves dripped in gold. You draped in gold. Like it's gold, everything. You know what I'm saying? They all in Persian. They in the best. Like this is like the finest of the finest. They all of them. So, they come in there, you know what I'm saying? They when they come in Carol, you know what I'm saying? They doing their thing when they get to Carol. Like, so, everybody in that boy like, damn, who this? You know what I'm saying? Because they in Carol in Egypt, they didn't know about West Africa. Let me just say that. They didn't know about West Africa. They didn't even know people live in the Sahara Desert or near the Sahara Desert because it's so hot. So they're like, who the hell gonna live out there? It's hot as hell. You know what I'm saying? So when he come in here, he draping, he doing this thing, he swag, swag. You know what I'm saying? They should have had Lil Wayne, a Millie, but instead a Billy playing when he came up in Carol. You know what I'm saying? That's how draped out they was. You know what I'm saying? The whole squad draped out. It's crazy. But when they got there, you know what I'm saying, the Sultan of Cairo wanted to see him. And when you come into Cairo and you present yourself to the Sultan, you're supposed to bow, kiss the foot, kiss the ring, and all that. Mansa Musa, like, nah, I ain't doing all that. I'm a king myself. What I look like, bowing, kissing the feet of you when I'm a man of my own country. You know what I'm saying? So he piddled around with it. He didn't really do it. It took him days to go meet him. And when they finally met and it was time for him to do the procedures, being kissed to the ground and all that stuff, he like, no, I'm not doing that. But what he did do, he did bow. He kissed the ground in the name of Allah, because he said the only man he was going to bow to was Allah. So he kissed the ground in the name of Allah. So the son was cool with that. They got along, they talked or whatever. He stayed there for a couple of months, you know what I'm saying, before he passed on to Medina. So and Medina is where the Prophet Muhammad tombstone rests. Muhammad is a person who started the Muslim religion, and he was in Mecca. He didn't like how they were worshiping false idols, and you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. So he ran to Medina. They ran him out of Mecca, and he ran to Medina. And once he got his followers up, he went back to Mecca. You know what I'm saying, and he, you know what I'm saying, did some great things. That's another story, but I should research that too as well. But he paid homage to Muhammad before passing on to Mecca to complete his Hajj. And once he got to Mecca, he met all these good people, all these other Muslims, you know what I'm saying? All these Muslims that was doing things, prophets, you know what I'm saying? Scholars, poets, architects, all these good people he came in contact with. He actually wanted to stay there. He really wanted to stay in Mecca. He felt peace there, but he knew he had a duty back in his homeland, Mali. He left his son there. Son wasn't doing too good. He knew his son wasn't going to be able to, take care of home like he was going to be able to take care of home. So he wanted to he wanted to stay, but he knew he had to get back home. And in the midst of him being here doing his Hajj and him meeting all these people, he got word that Mali was actually in battle with another kingdom, with another kingdom, with Gaul and the Songhai kingdom. So he had to rush back. And during the time that he was rushing back, he asked all these people that he met, hey, do you guys want to come back with me? So, you know what I'm saying, expand his kingdom. Because like I said, nobody really knew about West Africa. Everybody thought it was hot as hell. It's desert. Ain't nobody living over there. Ain't nobody crazy enough to be living over there. And they damn sure ain't rich like this. So what he did was he asked a few people to come back with him. And it was like, you know, he had some prophets. He had some good scholar people, some people that had some sense in their head, that were smart as hell. You know what I'm saying? He had people coming back with him so he can go ahead and do what he had to do. So they went back and they took the same route they came through. So they left Mecca, went to Medina, went back to Carols. By the time they got to Carols in Egypt, he had depleted. This man and gave all the money away, and he ain't even finished doing the Hajj. So he broke. He far from home. He ain't broke. He just depleted his funds that he had in his pocket or his purse. He had a large purse, but he then gave so much away that he didn't have enough to get back home. So what he did was, when he got to Carol, he borrowed all the gold that they had of his back. So all the gold that he gave away, or all the gold that they had of his, he borrowed back to buy supplies, make sure his people was good on the way back home. Let me tell you how powerful this man was. After they left Carol, they in the middle of the desert. His wife, his senior wife, because remember they practice polygamy over there. So this is his senior wife that he took with him on his Hajj. His wife was like, I'm tired. I'm missing home. I ain't had no bath in a long time. I'm dirty. I'm ready to, you know what I'm saying? You know how wives is that I'm dirty. I'm ready to go home. When we gonna get home? What? How long? How much longer? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And he like, you know, okay, whatever. So he had his men go out and dig. They stayed up all night digging this hole, and you know, putting water in it so she can have a warm bath. Her and her servants can have a bath. This is a bad man, man. When you digging holes in the middle of the damn desert just so your wife can get a bath, that's a bad man. But okay, so once they took the bath and they on their way back home, they stopped. Then he got word again that the beef that he had with Gaul and the Songhai empire was over with, and they actually won. So he had a bad military win, and he didn't get credit to his son. It was the military that did that, because you know what I'm saying, he was a man back then. He conquered that. He conquered everything he went into. So any wars he went into, he conquered, because he was a bad man like that. So Mansa Musa was like, okay, we won. So now I want to stop, and I want to, you know what I'm saying, check out my new kingdom. You know what I'm saying, and talk to the sultan or the Mansa or the king of Songhai, the Songhai Empire. So they stopped. He sent the people on about their way. He stopped in Gaul, and you know, conversed with him, and made sure he understood that he was the king now. But you know what I'm saying, you still run the land, but I'm the man. You know what I'm saying, when it come down to it, this ain't your shit no more. This my shit. So what he did was he took the king's two sons back with him, because remember, when they conquer your land, they taking royal hostages to go back with you. So he took royal hostages back with him. He took the two sons and he put them in the military. So they were military men, but they were military from Mali Empire, not the Songhai Kingdom. So Mali Empire, right? Once he got back there, you know what I'm saying, he started building, expanding. And what he did was, when he so because he conquered at least 24 villages, small villages, and I ain't gonna say he conquered them, because he didn't go to war with all of them. Some of them saw what he was doing and what he was trying to do for his kingdom and how he was expanding and the way he was moving. They was like, we want to be a part of this. We want to, what I'm saying, be under you too. We want you to rule as our king. And what I'm saying, we see what you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? With a man with a mission and people see and they see that vision that you got, they want to get on board. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he looked like he doing something. He looked like he moving. And I ain't gonna say he didn't inherit, he already inherited a rich kingdom. That Mali was already rich. They already had the, what I'm saying, the salt, the ivory, and the gold going. You know what I'm saying? So once but his mind and the way he was structuring things and he was setting stuff up, they was like, oh no, we got to get on board with this man. He going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? We got to get on board with him. He going somewhere. So some of them, you know what I'm saying, he didn't have to conquer. He didn't have to fight with them. They just came on board, you know what I'm saying, by themselves because they saw what he was doing. But once he got back, like I said, he built Hodges. He actually started building in Gaul, and he started building. He also conquered Timbuktu. Timbuktu was just a trade. You know what I'm saying? These places were trade cities. So Gaul and Timbuktu were trade cities where they would come and trade and stuff and do all that stuff. Do all that in these cities. They would come trade and do what they had to do. So these were cities known for trading, known for, what I'm saying, this vast trading and all that stuff. What he did was he went into Timbuktu. Timbuktu was like his personal project, the whole city, personal project. So what he did, he took one of the guys that he actually met on his Hajj. I'm not going to butcher his name. I fought with this man's name the whole time I was reading, but his nickname was called the Moor. And the Moor was an architect, a poet, and he was something, an architect and a poet and a prophet, I think. So he was moving around. He was doing his own little thing, but that, I guess, on his Hajj, he became Mansa's best friend, and they talked about everything or whatever. So he actually came, but him and his family came back to Mali with him. And what he did was he brought a whole nother outlook to Mali. And Mansa sent him to Gaul, sent him to Timbuktu, and he wanted him to start building, you know what I'm saying, start building Hodges. Start building mosques. And he built a palace there. He built a couple of, it's 3 known mosques in Timbuktu. One was already there. And he built 2 extra mosques. So what they did was the one that was already there, the Sunkoy mosque, they actually just did some remodeling, some remodeling, and then they built the other 2 mosques there, which actually stands today. One of the mosques is standing today. But what he did was he brought a different type of architect structure. The way that he was building stuff, they never seen it before. So, and he was actually building stuff out of the land, out of the mud, out of the dirt. What they had there, they didn't go out and buy stuff from different countries or none. Wood, mud, and dirt. That's all they had. That's all they built this out of. I promise you. Look the stuff up. It's crazy, and it still stands today. Now they had to remodel and do some construction on it, but it still stands today after all these years, 700-800 years. This stuff is still standing, and it's not made. It's not something he had to buy. It's mud. It's mud, built out of mud. But the way he built it, Mali Empire had never seen it before. So they built the 3 mosques. They built 2 mosques, remodeled 1 mosque, and he actually had the first university. He was the founder of the first university in West Africa, the University of St. Croix, where they practiced the Quran. So they had the really, they said he a devoted Muslim, so they had the Quran. They could practice the Quranic. They had math, science, astronomy, poetry. They had everything there. They had a lot of stuff there. I'm not going to even go into all the names that they had there, but you have people from across the world actually coming to Timbuktu to study at this university. So he was real big on education. He was real big on religion. He was real big on, you know what I'm saying, making his creating generation wealth. He was wealth for his country and wealth for the next generations or stuff like that. So he did all that, and what else did he do? Oh, okay. So after he did all that, once he went to Cairo, and once people started talking, you know what I'm saying, because Egypt is a big place. And like I said, they didn't know nothing about being over there. Like a handful of people, like the Arabic people, they knew about Mali and all that stuff because they were trading with them, but they didn't know how vast wealthy. Everybody didn't know how wealthy these people were until he went to Cairo. So he was trying to open up doors for more trading and more people to, you know what I'm saying? He was trying to expand the empire on more trade so he could be able to trade across the world. So once he went to Carol and he showed out, he flexed because he went and flexed. He flexed hard. So, you know, they out there, they telling people, oh, you know what I'm saying, this Mansa Musa came from West Africa, from Mali. You know what I'm saying? They banked up over there. So, you know, people start coming around, they want to see who Mansa Musa is. They want to see the Mali Empire. They want to see how they living over there. Oh, they living big. So, you know, people from Europe, people that didn't know them, other people from Africa were coming to West Africa because they were trying to find the gold. Because at this time, when Africa was thriving and rich and making a move, they was flexing hard. This they golden age. Europe wasn't doing so good. They were over there killing each other. They were in poverty. They were barely making it. They couldn't pay the bills. The lights was turned off over in Europe. So they was trying to get to Africa. They getting word that this man draped out, his slaves draped out, his camels draped, everybody draped out. You know what I'm saying? He making real major moves. So they trying to come over and they trying to figure out where this man gold is. He would never tell nobody. Even when they was trading the gold and stuff, how they was trading was crazy because the gold miners, nobody knew who the gold miners were. Nobody knew where the gold mines were. And how they were trading with the gold miners was they would be in the forest, and the people that had whatever they had, they would sit down, they would beat the drums, and then the miners would come and set the gold down, and they'd go back and they'd beat their drums. And then the people, if they didn't like how much gold it was, or if it wasn't enough, what they would do was they'll leave it there. They'll go back, beat the drum. They'll come. The gold mines will come back. Miners, I'm saying the gold mines. The gold miners will come and put more gold there and go back and beat the drum. So this how it went. This how the trade with the gold miners went on, and that's how they got their supplies. So nobody never knew where Mansa Musa actually their gold mines were. Nobody knew. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think he knew, to be honest with you, because it was so secret and it was so sacred to them that they didn't tell. And if people asked, you know what I'm saying, he kind of was like, he gave them this little crazy story, basically to tell their ass to mind their business in a respectful way. But that's how they made their money. So people were coming from all over the world. They was trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what is Mansa Musa really about? What is he about? What he got going on over here? How he making moves like this? I ain't know West Africa was making moves like this. So they trying to figure out how he moving. You know what I'm saying? They want to get down with the get down because he the man right now. So that's what it was. And after after Mansa Musa reigned for 25 years, they don't really know when he died. See, this thing about Africa, they didn't write stuff down back then. They had people, I forgot, and I kept saying the name over here so I wouldn't forget who these people were. But they got a special name for these people, and they passed the stories of these kings and stories and all of their history down. The griots, that's what it is. So a griot is the people, they storytellers, and what they do is from years on down. Now, even some people still do it now here in America. The griots are people that are storytellers. So what they do is they Africa is real big on oral storytelling. I mean, oral history. So they speak about it, not writing it down. They wrote down. They have plenty of books back then. They wrote books about a lot of stuff. Even if some of the books that was wrote back then that Mansa Musa had written back then, they still practice in some schools today. So it's not like they didn't write stuff down, but the more important stuff was the more sacred stuff, the more stuff that they held to their heart about where they came from and their people and who they were or stories. So they would each generation had their own griot. And what they would do is pass these stories down through these people, and they would sing the songs of the kings and praise the kings and sing the songs of these old ancestors and these old people. And they still do it today in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And they're the biggest thing is, you know, if you write it in books, you quick to forget it. But if you saying it orally, it makes you memorize the stuff. Which now I know y'all. How many people know somebody's phone number? Somebody besides your own phone. Do you know your own phone number? I only know one person number, and I promise you, if I called her in an emergency, she wouldn't pick up. So I need to learn somebody else's number. But back then, we used to have to, before cell phones, before, you know what I'm saying, all this technology came out, you really had to memorize stuff. So that's what they do. Ooh, excuse me. They memorize their history and they just pass it down. They pass it down. And what they do is when they, ooh, excuse me. I'm sorry, y'all. When they do like weddings and birthdays, anything that they got going on, any big, huge event that they got going on in Africa, they recite these stories and they tell these stories. And even if today, when you go over there, I don't know if you want to go over there and actually see, they still tell these stories from the griots and you can listen to it. It's crazy. Like I was listening to some of it. So I just want y'all to look this stuff up because it just like I was digging so much into it. Like I get up every morning and listen to a new video, and I learn something new every day about Mansa Musa and the Mali Empire and West Africa and all type of stuff. So I encourage y'all to look stuff up. You know what I'm saying? I even got the books that I read. So this one is Mansa Musa and Timbuktu. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you that Timbuktu was his that was his baby. You know what I'm saying? He did a lot of stuff in Timbuktu. Um, Mansa Musa and the Mali Empire. Mansa Musa and the Mali Empire. And then Mansa Musa and Timbuktu. This was different than the other one. Like they had different stories in this one. So they both the same. And then this this is a bad man. I'm gonna tell y'all how bad this man. This picture is actually came from a map that was created after him. But this is the Cadillac Atlas map. This is him sitting on the map. This is the only man on that map. This is the only man that was made on a map back then. And he's sitting on a throne, on a gold throne. He got a gold crown, holding a gold nugget with a gold spirit. Like that's how bad this man is. This man was worth today. He's still the richest man that ever lived. The richest man, a black man. A black man. I just want y'all to be proud of that. You know what I'm saying? A black man from Africa. What is the richest man? Not Jeff Bezos ain't got an Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. None of these people have nothing on this black man. This black man. And this black man gave to the poor. This black man built a whole empire, built a whole university. He educated people. You know what I'm saying? He built a whole infrastructure for his people to live. And me personally, he might be the richest, but this man is the wealthiest. And rich and wealthy is two different things. You could be rich in money, but he was wealthy in life because he the examples that he set, you know what I'm saying? He was a man of different diplomacy. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the type of he was an understanding man back then. You know, you hear about a lot of kings that just was horrible, treated their people bad. He treated their people, he treated his people with respect. He even treated other kingdoms with respect. When he came in and he conquered, he didn't, do it in a disrespectful way. He was always respectful. He was respectful to his people. He gave his people wealth. He gave to the poor. Like I said, he encouraged a lot. He encouraged people to get educated. He encouraged people to be a devoted religion, whether it was Muslim or whatever tradition, whatever religion that you was in. He respected that. He was a respectful man. He gave respect, and in return he got respect. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said before, people saw him doing something with himself and doing something with his empire, that they actually came on board willingly. Other kingdoms came to him, hey, I want to be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? So he was wealthy with the way he thought, with the way his actions, being a devoted Muslim, you know what I'm saying, being close to Allah, just going out and just spreading his wealth and spreading his ministry and spreading his, his education. And I feel like that's when you become wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Being rich, anybody can get $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Because you see it every day. You see people becoming millionaires every day. Now, especially now nowadays, you got millionaires is like being the next thousandaire. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can get $1,000, but the way that he um, moved and what he did with his money made him a wealthy man. And like I said, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, you can put all them in a pot, add their money up, they still ain't got as much money as this man. He was rich in his land, you know what I'm saying? Where he was at was enriched. The way he walked, the way he talked, his essence was wealthy. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just he had money. Anybody can have money. I know a lot of people that got money. You know what I'm saying? But they rich, but they ain't wealthy. And that's what we need to start trying to achieve. Rich and wealthy is two different things. Become wealthy. I pray. You know what I'm saying? I ask God to cover. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, that they become wealthy. You know what I'm saying? They get an understanding of mind, understanding of self, and understanding of others around them. And you know what I'm saying? Just give back. You know what I'm saying? That's when you become wealthy. You ain't got to be a millionaire. You got to be a big. You ain't got to have all that money in the world. You wealthy when you start. You know what I'm saying? Understanding the people around you, understanding yourself, and you know what I'm saying? Just putting back into the environment. You know what I'm saying? Positive vibes, not negative vibes. When you start putting positive vibes back into the environment, that's why I feel like he was the wealthiest man in the world. And he had a lot of money, but he also gave a lot of money too. And he also looked out for his people. It wasn't just about Mansa Musa. It wasn't just about Mansa Musa and his family. It was about his whole nation, his empire, and the way that he moved. He was trying to create something big back then, you know. Unfortunately, after he passed, the craziest thing, not like right after he passed, they start invading Africa. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because the Europeans and all these people start invading Africa once all the great kings left. Like once the great kings passed and they died and they went on to glory, that's when people start, you know what I'm saying, invading Africa, stealing from them. Because Africa is one of the wealthiest continents. You know what I'm saying? You can find everything over there. And they was doing a lot of stuff over there. You know, ivory, the elephants is over there. You know what I'm saying? You got the gold, you got diamonds over there. You got a lot of stuff in Africa. And so people were like, okay, we finna go over here, we finna take over, we finna do this. They was cowards because why you didn't do that when all the great kings was over there? So you know what I'm saying? Naturally, Mali Empire had gotten they. This is why I want y'all to research this stuff, because a lot of the stuff that they were doing back then, we still doing today as a black community, as a black culture. A lot of the stuff killing each other and you know what I'm saying, trying to take power, and it's all about the money, power, and respect. That's what they was doing back then. So this stuff is not new. It's not something that just started happening when we got over here to America. It's not due to slavery or none of that stuff. Because like I said before, slavery that's from the beginning of time. People been enslaving each other. It just got harsher longer down the years. You know what I'm saying? When it came to America and the Atlantic slave and all that stuff. But please, please, please do some research. Do some research, because when I got into it, I was like, man, and this happened, and this happened, and this. I couldn't even stick to what I was supposed to be doing. That's why I had to write everything down, because so much stuff was coming up. It was just like Mansa Musa, and then uh Abari Abar. I'm sorry, I'm butchering his name, but when he set out, and they believe that he found South America, and he went on to he was in America 200 years before Columbus was there. Like black people was already in America. You know what I'm saying? So it was so much stuff that was just coming up. It was like, oh man, this and this happened, and like it's just crazy. Like a lot of stuff was going on back then. So I encourage y'all. I gave y'all the books, and I found them on Amazon, and they weren't expensive. See, books nowadays is like $2-3, and so if I can dish out $2-3 to sit down and read some stuff, y'all can do the same. So I encourage y'all to, you know what I'm saying, go out on a limb and find some new black people for Black History Month. My new black person was Mansa Musa, one of the richest men in the world. You know what I'm saying? He's still the wealthiest man in the world. He did so much for his people, and he did so much for his country that they still thriving, and they still, you know what I'm saying? You still see in the black culture, you know what I'm saying? We still got good people out there. We still got good black men out there. So he was one of the greatest men. They keep coming up, popping up every generation. We had Malcolm X, we had Martin Luther King, you know what I'm saying? We had Nipsey Hussle. Like we had so many black men that we could have, you know what I'm saying, looked up to and been mentors of ours. That we don't miss out on these people. You know what I'm saying? Do some research. Go and look some stuff up for yourself, because I enjoyed looking it up. Like this was like eye opener, because like I said, like I didn't a lot of this stuff I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And the YouTube videos that you see of Mansa Musa, they just tell you some of this stuff. But once you start digging and digging and digging, you're gonna want to learn, and you're gonna want to know more, and you're gonna be curious about some stuff. And you're gonna want to spark up a conversation about some stuff. So please check those out, check some videos out, Google, just one day Google some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't gotta be Mansa Musa, it could be somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It could be anybody, but let's venture out more. Let's find some more black people, because it's more than the people that they telling us. You know what I'm saying? It's more than Malcolm X. It was somebody before Malcolm X. It was somebody before Martin Luther King. It was somebody before whoever you know what I'm saying, go shoot Rose, and it's somebody before, you know what I'm saying, all those people. It like they paved the way for us, but it was somebody that paved the way for them. So I encourage y'all to look out for them, do some research of your own, and happy Black History Month. And we don't have to, you know what I'm saying, just be proud to be black in February. You be proud to be black all 12 months. And you don't have to be proud of Black History Month. I'm sorry. You don't have to be black to be proud of Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? I encourage everybody of any ethnicity to, you know what I'm saying, just dive deep. It ain't even got to be Black history. You know what I'm saying? Dive deep in history, because a lot of it intertwined with each other. Like they was doing a lot of moving around back then. So hey, do some research, man. Sit down and read a book. You know what I'm saying? Get out the phone, get off the social media, but watch this video and like this video. And hey, till next time, I love y'all. Peace.